I am popping on here today because I was asked the most incredible question, and I want to share with you the answer. Here's the question. How do you change your life? I was in corporate America for 30 years. 2 years ago, I left corporate America after 30 freaking years, and now I live a completely different life. I have two multiple six-figure businesses that are thriving. I live a completely different life. I live in a different body. I work with different people. I have a worldwide team. I am an empowerment coach for women, and I help women take the next best step in literally changing your life. So, step one is to sit down with yourself and write down in detail, and I mean in detail, what would a perfect day be like for you? And really detail it out. Several years ago in 2018, I was working with a spiritual coach, and she asked me to do this exercise, and I could not get very far. I really couldn't. And it brought me to tears. And I think the reason that it got me so emotional is because the reason that I couldn't do it is because I never thought that it was available, that I could ever have a perfect day, like a really great, amazing day. Why would I ever plan for something that I never thought would actually ever happen? So think about it. Why would you plan for something that you didn't believe in your heart of hearts was going to happen? You don't do that. So when I was given this exercise, and I'm giving you this exercise now, if you were to sit down and plan in detail for your perfect day and really wrote it out, what would it look like, right? What would that look like? And what would that feel like? And it was a really emotional exercise because when I really sat down and I realized, like, I had no idea. So I started writing it and I was like, okay, I would get up without an alarm and I would walk my dogs on the lagoon and I would have time and I would like be looking at my neighbors and I'd be walking on the water and I'd be breathing and it would be so awesome. Like I wouldn't be see what happened was is I would immediately start talking about all the things that I wouldn't be doing. And that's okay, because that's actually reverse engineering into the life that you desire. And sometimes we have to actually think about what we don't want to be able to manifest and back into what we do want. And that's totally okay. Oftentimes, because we're so far away from what it is that we want, that we have to actually back into it. So I would say things like, I don't want to drive on the freeway. I don't want to sit in meetings. I don't want to miss out on my life. I don't want to be in this body that's heavy and stuck and feels so uncomfortable. And so I started to talk about all the things that I didn't want until I was able to get myself more freed up and talk about the things that I did want. And then I was like, okay, well, now that I'm clear about what I don't want, what do I want? Well, I want to wake up without an alarm and I want to be able to walk on the lagoon with my dogs and not have to rush and be like in a big hurry, okay? And then I want to come home and have somebody cook me breakfast. Maybe a partner. Okay, that sounds like a good idea, right? And I started to get really clear about what it was that I wanted. And then I got more defined and more defined and more defined. And I started to, instead of this feeling like a sad exercise because it didn't feel possible, it started to get really exciting. Like, could I do this? I was 40 pounds heavier. I drove 3 hours to work every day, and I sat in meetings endlessly, and I didn't have any clear path on how I was going to replace my salary. Here we are, that was in 2018. Here we are in 2021. I have two businesses that are multiple six figures, right? So think about it. So the first thing that I want you to do, if you're a woman and you want to create a life that you love, is I want you to detail, manifest. I want you to create your manifest. Literally, I want you to write a document out, and I want you to define it, and I want you to detail it. Really, really, really detail it. What is on your manifesto? Your manifesto, what's on it? And then I want you to see how it feels when you are writing it. And it might be really emotional, and it's okay. It's okay if it feels emotional. It's okay. None of these things existed. In 2018, not one of them existed. Not one. Zero. I wasn't in the body. I wasn't eating what I loved. I wasn't in a body that I loved. I wasn't living a life that I loved. I was at the tail end of a relationship that was cooked. None of this existed. Zero. Zero. And I kept looking at this manifesto that I created, and I kept visualizing it and seeing it and feeling it. But that's not enough. You can't just visit a piece of paper and the feelings on the piece of paper. I had to show up and take committed, inspired action. One of the laws of the universe is inspired action. The word that's missing on this law is committed, inspired action. Because inspired action is wonderful, but if you're not committed to the inspired action, then it's once in a blue moon inspired action. And we don't change our life unless we are committed to the inspired action. Here's something that I want you to know. And this is actually something that I learned from one of my mastermind brothers. And this is something from learning and development. Okay, this is some research in learning and development, L&D. Okay, you have a 65% chance, higher chance of anything that you commit to actually come to fruition if you tell somebody else, if you say it out loud. If I say, hey, Michelle, listen, I want to sing live on a stage. I've never done it in my life. I'm losing my hearing. I have hearing aids, but I want to hear my voice, and I want to do it on a stage. I've never done this in my life. It's just something, I don't know. I don't even care what it even sounds like. I just want to do it. And I'm telling you. And you're like, what? That's crazy. Okay, cool. So I've just said it out loud, okay? I just said it. But now, 65% chance it's going to happen. But now I hire a voice coach, and I take lessons, and I really hone my skill, and I increase my confidence, and I show up, and my coach is like, she's backing me up, and I'm taking lessons, and I show up, and she's like, okay, let's pick a venue, and let's put a date on the calendar. And I show up, and I show up. Now that I've hired I have a coach and I have accountability, the chances that that's going to happen has now gone up over 90%. Over 90%. So when there's something that you really, really desire for your life, back yourself up. Back yourself up. And what happens is that sometimes people feel, my mother said this today, my mom said this today. She's like, I get the feeling sometimes that people think that if they buy a program, they get the result. No. When you buy a program, you just buy a program. You've got to be invested. You have to actually be invested. You have to be invested. got to show up. I've got to take the singing lessons. I've got to practice. I've got to actually like prepare my voice. Then I have to look for a venue that I can actually sing on stage and approach the people and make it happen. And I've got to show up. I've got to take things to the next level. And then I'm going to have the manifestation because I showed up for it. Does that make sense? This is how we take our life to the next level, and we live our life in a way so that when we get to whenever our life is going to transition to whenever our life is going to transition, we've blown our hair back in the wind. That's the kind of life that I want to live. I want to be my own inspiration. I want to be the woman who has inspired herself. Every time my daughter says, "Mom, I am so proud of you," every time I feel so proud of me, I know that I'm living a life that I will look back on and say, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. You go, girl. So I'm here for the woman who wants to blow her hair back in the wind. It takes guts. It takes heart. It takes soul, and it takes mindset to live a life